2015 started off with me pretty much addicted to Mario Kart 8. Um, I spent lots of times on Miiverse. I was actually kind of popular on there. I was still pretty into My Little Pony. Me and Austin's brand new friendship was going pretty strong. So yeah, everything was going pretty good. I was going through some bad depression at the time. Yeah. In February, in March, me and Corey pulled a prank on Todd where we acted like we were in a fight with each other. And then we FaceTime him, and then we were like, oh, surprise, we were just kidding. The thing is, Todd, he's so sensitive, he was actually, getting emotionally invested in it, and we really hurt him. To this day, our friendship ended at that point. Me and Todd literally weren't friends anymore. So, yeah, that was hard. Todd also switched to online school, so I literally didn't see him at all anymore for a few months. Spoiler alert, we did end up getting back together. Our friendship did mend a couple months later. But yeah, so that was hard. Um, you know, one morning, I think it might have actually been caused because of what happened with Todd, but one morning I was so depressed getting up for school. Mom was talking about selling my Wii U, and I was like, oh yeah, fine, just do it. I didn't really mean it, but I came home that day after school, and sure enough, the Wii U was gone. To this day, I regret it so much. The Wii U is so underrated. It really had so many great games, so many that I never got to play. So yeah. Now that I didn't have the Wii U, my attention turned towards my new iPad mini, and I actually got back into Minecraft. I went through a second Minecraft phase for the last few months of my freshman year. And I would watch My Little Pony on Netflix all the time. And yeah, that's pretty much what I did with my free time. Me and Austin's friendship was going really strong. This was probably the peak of our friendship, was during freshman year, because we had 2 classes together too. And we would mess around with each other a lot then, back when he was more silly and innocent fun. So yeah, those days were awesome. Well, kind of, because I had depression pretty bad freshman year. But yeah, other than that, everything was going pretty good. I reached 100 subscribers around that time. So yeah, so freshman year finished out, and then, so if you guys remember, Patrick moved the year before. So, I only got to see him on the school breaks or whatever. So, his mom made a deal with my mom that Patrick could spend the entire summer, or at least most of the summer, with us. So yep, I remember all of us were at my house eagerly awaiting his arrival, and Patrick showed up, and that started what would be another contender for, honestly, the best summer of my whole life, the Patrick Summer 2.0. I call it that because it was basically a renaissance in our friendship. We literally lived together for 2 months. So it was literally just like the old summers in the past when we practically lived together, except this time he actually did live with us. So it was awesome, and lots of memories made. That was summer that we were really into MLG, and Chad Warden, Super Hot Fire. What else? Oh my gosh, there were so many things we were into, and Austin fit right in with the rest of our friend group. So Corey actually moved this summer, but he still came down. He was still at our he still came and spent a week living with us. So, I mean, there were parts of the summer where literally Patrick and Corey were both living with us. I mean, like, this was an awesome thing in our friendship, Corey did get kind of overwhelming over a while. And even me and Patrick, started kind of getting sick of each other at some points. But other than that, it was an amazing summer. We were really into playing Super Mario Star Road, which is like a fan-made version of Super Mario 64. We were really into speedrunning Super Mario 64. Yeah, JonTron, Titanic. So yeah, awesome times. And me and Austin's house actually was becoming like the new place to hang out. It was going from Todd's house now to Austin's. So I didn't go to Austin's too much, but Corey spent a lot of time there. And Patrick went there a few times. It was mainly Corey. Corey and Austin's friendship really like blossomed during this time too. So yeah. So in August, just like the year before, I got to go with Grandma and Grandpa on their huge yearly trip to Washington, which was awesome. So the difference was this year, instead of riding on planes, we actually drove out there, and that was really the highlight. It was a very short visit too, because that's the first school year that they starting in August, which is stupid. But yeah, like the 10 days that we were actually in Washington, like weren't even that great, especially compared to the year before. And I think it's partially because that first year, like it was just such a huge event in my life. I'd never journeyed more than like 10 miles, so it was such a huge deal that in my head, I was kind of comparing it to the previous year, which led to disappointment because we didn't do as many fun things, and like the vibe wasn't like really as special because this was the second time I did it, but it was still a good time. But really, the true highlight were the journeys to Washington and the journey back home. Each like was a 4-day journey, and we'd stayed at a different motel every night. So it was really nice. And I remember it just had the whole time traveling. There's just like this vibe from like this vibe of adventure that I still kind of crave to this day. And I got a taste of it again when I went to see Patrick, but that's for the 2019 video. But anyways, so that was a true highlight, was that trip out there. And I remember we had the satellite radio on, and Grandpa John like hated all the songs, but we caught him singing to them. Yeah, so unfortunately that meant Patrick had to go home before he went, but that was fine because the trip to Washington was awesome. So overall, that summer was amazing. Summer 2015. And of course it had to end, and I went back to school, sophomore year, 10th grade. So now this year, Todd wasn't there, and Corey wasn't there because he moved, so he was going to a different school. So, I essentially only had really like Austin as a close friend who was also going to school with me, and that was kind of hard. Took a bit getting used to, especially at lunch when I eventually found a group to sit with that I was decent, but they were, it just kind of sucked not having like really close friends anymore at school other than Austin. So this is also when I started J-Chart, my music chart channel. Still up to this day. Some of those earliest charts, if copyright hasn't screwed them over, I think are still up actually. Back in like September 2015. And this sophomore year, oh my gosh, was like a YouTube renaissance for me, because I got really into making videos this year, my sophomore school year. So I made videos a lot. Oh yeah, Agario. How could I forget? So I remember at the end of freshman year, so this must have been like May 2015, Agario that was the first time I heard like a kid at school talking about Agario. It wasn't until like the summer, I think July, it came out for iOS, so that was when I tried it out, and I got moderately into it. It wasn't until an update came out, like at the end of October in 2015, which added like profiles and leveling up and everything, and username, or well, skins and stuff. That is when I got obsessed, and I got like addicted to Agario. I started playing Agario all the time, and I remember that was when even at school, kids would be playing that all the time on the computers. Agario was huge that year. Yeah, it was really fun. So let's see what else was going on. Nothing else when it comes to games. Yeah, Agario. So, yep, things were fun. So, and then of course, oh yeah, and that was the first year that our school had choir. So I joined that, and to this day, that ended up being my favorite class because it was basically a club. I miss choir. Choir was awesome. But yeah, let's see what else. So at the end of the year, so there were two main YouTube stars that came into my life. First off, Miranda sings. Miranda sings one. So I discovered Miranda Sings. The first video I found of her was her Hello cover. And I remember to this day, as I was watching it, I thought it was serious. It wasn't until like halfway through that I was like, oh my gosh, this has to be a joke. And me and JoJo both became obsessed with Miranda Sings like right at the end of the year. And that's where I got inspiration to do Vlogmas, which is what I still do to this day. I think she still does Vlogmas. So yeah. We got really into Miranda Sings, and Patrick came over that winter break and got me into a beautiful human named Joey's World Tour. To this day, he is a legend in our lives, especially in me and Patrick's friendship. Patrick showed me Joey, and yep. So Christmas that year, I didn't get anything big, which was okay. I did the talent show. That's the year I did the talent show. That was awesome. Oh my gosh, my Sorry cover. So I made that Sorry cover, Justin Bieber. You can still find it on my channel. And this kid at school looked up my name just because he was curious to see what he would find. He found that cover, and he single-handedly like spread it person, and then so they showed other people, and literally like half of my high school ended up seeing it. So, and then like about half of that half, like actually, because they're just high schoolers, so not exactly the most mature. I mean, pretty much a good portion of them probably didn't even realize it was a parody. Actually thought I was a freaking weirdo, and then the other half actually thought it was a parody. So then I had like a pretty good portion of the school like thinking I was like a comedy genius, another portion of the school thinking I was like stupid. So, and that's why I call that the popular era of my life, because of that video pretty much and my talent show performance, I was actually like popular. Like everyone knew me and everyone was talking about that video I made. They even played it in class a few times. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so that was interesting, and that's pretty much how the year closed off. I was very into my music charts, like music chart community on YouTube. Very into Agario. My YouTube career was booming. So yeah, that's how 2015 ended.